You wouldn't believe, like, under the comment section down below, with every video we've had with Minecraft, most of the time it's either like, okay, where's this other episode? Or it's always just talking about Ruben.
Yeah, bring Ruben back.
Yeah.
I know. Trust me, we all love Ruben. We all miss Ruben.
I did actually see one comment, though, and maybe actually a few people mentioned this, and I thought, I was like, okay, that's interesting. I don't know if this would ever happen, but they were like, if the builder can make anything and whatnot, why can't,
Oh, sure, like, why can't, in Season 2, the admin just bring Ruben back?
Yeah.
Yeah. It is one of those things, though, that, like, it's such a big moment of Season 1, like, to come back, it's like, I mean, granted, comic books do this kind of stuff all the time. It's like in Spider-Man bringing Uncle Ben back from the dead, or like, if Bruce Wayne's parents are suddenly alive. And I know, like, comics do this stuff all the time, but we don't, unfortunately, we're not making 12 of these a year, every year.
Exactly.
We only have a couple of shots at telling this story, so.
And as much as it does, I mean, come on, guys. We get this thing. As even Eric was saying, like, originally we're like, we're not going to kill the pig, are we? We're not going to kill it. And then suddenly, oh no, we're killing the pig. And, but, you don't want to ever lessen that impact that
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Is everyone okay?
So it is...
I mean, Season 2, we have we have Luna, we have the llama around.
You mean
there's still 3 episodes
that everyone's calling.
There's still 3 episodes left for something horrible to happen.
Everyone freaking loves that llama. Every single time we've done a crowd play early on, everyone loves the llama. It is crazy.
Yeah, Luna's great.
Which, I mean, is no surprise. I'm a huge fan of Emperor's New Groove. So, the second I saw a llama, I was like, oh yeah, heck yeah. And the llama's got attitude, which gotta love.
Oh, Ruben. I really do miss Ruben.
Well, one thing also Eric was mentioning is that I didn't know about because I didn't work on this stuff is he would talk about having the Ruben pass. Like, you get to a certain point, and then, like, let's do a Ruben pass.
So it's a thing that happens in our games where you have a non-vocal, a character who doesn't get lines in the script. It can be pretty easy to read through a scene and forget that they're even there. So what you'd often do with a Minecraft scene is get it on its feet, and we can look at it and assess basically, like, all right, where's a good moment to dial in, like, getting Ruben on screen? And you just would have to do it constantly because you oftentimes could really easily forget the little guy was there.
Which is, I mean, which is such a good thing to have, is because more often than not, the character that is almost always giving, like, a heart or a gut check almost is the one that is the most expressive, which is typically Ruben.
Yeah. Yeah, in that way, like, if Jessie has to make a hard decision and Ruben's there giving her a look, and you're going, oh, what's Ruben gonna think of this decision? I really want that pig to like me.
Yeah. Yeah, you wanna be on that side. Now, and I know Lucas went through a bunch of different revs and changes and whatnot. Going into this episode, with Lucas, he's always kind of walked the fine line between nerdy and friend or jerk, depending on how you treated him.
I would say it'd be a fair criticism to say that this episode, Lucas is a little schizophrenic. He doesn't quite jive with who he is in 2 or 4 and beyond. And I think it's just, you chalk it up to Lucas kind of fell into doing a little more of what the story needed him to do, as opposed to us really 100% knowing that character and what he had to do. And I think it was after the experience of, Lucas is a little kind of panicky and jerky in this episode. And it just didn't, at the end of the day, wind up feeling right. And so he evolves more into a kind of stalwart best friend, distinct from Petra, which has been a thing. So in Season 2, like, he has a much more defined, clear personality, mostly because over the course of 5 through 8, I think Eric Stirpe did a great job figuring out who that character is and how he talks and reacts in the world, and we've carried that through in Season 2.
Oh, crap. And I think that is something that, it's nice for also our fans to get to know is, we have these moments where it's kind of like a push and pull. We're trying to understand these characters and find out where they kind of fall within the world and within the collective group. And we have this large cast of characters into a game, and where we can see is like, oh crap, this character is more or less just fulfilling just whatever storyline we have rather than their own character. So we look at that, we change it up, and it's kind of cool because since we have the episodic kind of way, we have that time to do that throughout the year.
And sometimes it gets hard. Like, so Minecraft as a series relies on the ensemble. Like, yes, it's Jessie, but Jessie as defined by her interacting with Petra, Lucas, Axel, Olivia. And I think that makes it a little harder just because you then also need to know who those other personalities are and how they affect the personality of the person you're playing.
Yeah.
It isn't as clear cut as say, like, and not that it was easy in any way, shape, or form, but like in Wolf, like Bigby Wolf, I think pretty much by like ep 2 or 3 of that season, like pretty much anyone working on that project could go, I have a good sense for how Bigby would act walking into this room and what he would do. Whereas with this, like, if we could do another pass to clean up Lucas's, behavior, I think that'd be like the only thing I would tweak in this episode, honestly.
Now, can you describe this environment for maybe anybody that, including myself, as a little less Minecraft informed?
Sure. So this is the end, which is at least now I don't know.
Oh, the end? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Go home, everybody.
We're done.
We're fine. We're done. Awesome. Good job on the...
We're done. We're good.
John. No, John, we're not done.
Thanks. Which is, as far as I know, this is where you effectively, if Minecraft has a structured sort of story or game to it, this would be the end of that game. Like, player's journey here, they fight a creature I think called the Ender Dragon, defeat that, and that is effectively the quote-unquote end of, at least at a certain point, at least the time we made this. I don't know if it's been updated since. So in this space, it's this other dimension. There are these creatures called Endermen who, for the most part, what they do is they just portal around, grabbing random blocks and disappearing with them. No one knows why. Mojang's never explained it. We didn't attempt to here. But if you make direct eye contact with them, then they aggro and they will attack you, and they'll relentlessly attack you. So the way to avoid getting in trouble with an Enderman is to avoid its gaze. And we tried a bunch of different permutations of trying to figure out how to make that a playable thing, avoiding looking at something, which turns out it's really hard to design something interactive that's fun to play where the goal is to not look at an interesting thing and then figure out how to navigate your way through the space. That was really tough, and so we wound up falling back on a more kind of cinematic, we want you to feel, as opposed to being frustrated by figuring out how to play avoiding an Enderman, we want you to just feel the sort of the tension, the anxiety that the characters are feeling being in this strange new world surrounded by these alien creatures. And so you'll see in a minute here where you're just running through a herd of these things, trying best to not get killed.
Okay, so I see what you mean, trying to keep the camera down low and still make it interesting that you can't really look at anything.
Yeah.
So do you remember who handled this particular
well, I know that running through there ultimately came down to Scott Hammock, was a Joris, who's now a content programmer, took a stab at that, and that's pretty much what we shipped. It felt pretty good, his first rev on it.
Yeah, it is interesting how the cinematic art department is one of the largest departments. It's so unique to Telltale. We have a lot of talent that goes in there, but then they end up also kind of going in different departments here and there. And
well, yeah, what you wind up having happen is pretty much all departments, most departments, their work gets funneled through the cinematic department, because the cinematic team are the people who really, along with the content programming team, they really they're the ones that put the game together. They take all
Yeah.
the pieces, assemble it into the thing that you get to sit here and play with a controller in your hand. And so you have folks who wind up getting exposed to a lot of different departments
Yeah.
throughout. And so we've had, you know, folks shift into the content, the programming side of things, the design side of things. Or you're a lifer like me, and then you wind up directing.
You're crazy, and you go into the marketing department.
Right, exactly.
There's a ladder.
Jesse's so disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah, so it is really interesting because whenever anybody asks, you know, like how do Telltale games, you know, really get made? It's like it's such a unique process here, so different than any other kind of dev company. You know, I remember back in the day I worked at Treyarch, and when I did that, I worked on World at War as it was winding down, and then Black Ops. But literally, you would work on just one game for like 2-3 years, and that's it. Unlike in the 6 years I was in the cinematic arts department, I worked on I think like 36 episodes, and so it's just it's crazy.
Yeah, I worked in special effects before this, so you know I would spend a year on and off working on a given shot in a movie.
Yeah.
And in the same span of time here at Telltale, I could work on 10, 12 episodes in different capacities.
It's crazy.
Spoiled world.
And then, sorry, I was just gonna say now we've found Soren's crazy recreation of the overworld inside the end, but made entirely of wool.
So it's kind of like the best crazy room. You know, you have the padded walls.
Yeah, and I don't think we ever referred to it this way in the episode itself, but internally it was just called Wool World. For the longest time, like on an outline, there's just a bullet point that said, and you go to Wool World. And it's like, great. That sounds strange. And how interesting is it going to be to have a world made entirely out of wool?
It sounds comforting, though, and possibly a tad bit itchy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I mean, like, is it Irish wool? Is it that soft, downy wool? Like, what do you see this? Wool
I
being?
can't imagine wool packed that tightly to keep edges that crisp are going to be that comfortable. I'm going to imagine this is not.
That's true.
But then again, I don't know. Maybe somewhere on a wiki or something, Mojang has officially said what sort of wool this is all made out of. And see, so here's where, like, okay, Lucas, let's take it down a notch, buddy. Let's just cool it. Take a deep breath, and
This isn't Housewives, okay? This isn't,
Yeah.
we're not the Kardashians. Let's bring it down a little bit. He just needs some space.
Yeah.
You know, let's just give him some space.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, he was being a jerk. So, and now we spread out, and you get the first of what's gonna be. Oh, that's a weird thing that lit up on the wall over there. I wonder what that's about. But we do this thing with the pet names. That's fun. We have fun.
Yeah.